You wake up before the sun rises, long before the desert heat turns unbearable. The camp is quiet, except for the faint rumble that shakes the ground beneath you. It's not thunder, it's the elephants, dozens of them, breathing, shifting, restless. You can feel the vibrations through the sand. They are your responsibility, your burden, your beasts of war. You are a Persian war elephant handler, a Mahout. The empire stretches wide and powerful, from the mountains of Persia to the valleys of India. And your job is to control the most terrifying weapon in its arsenal. A creature that weighs 6 tons, eats like 100 soldiers, and can kill you in a single step. Your day begins not with glory, but with feeding. Each elephant consumes hundreds of pounds of food. Grass, branches, dates, grains. You and your fellow handlers haul bundles of fodder before dawn, drenched in sweat long before the first horn calls the army to assemble. You fetch water from distant wells because an elephant drinks more than you could carry in barrels. When they don't get enough, they grow angry. Angry elephants are unpredictable, and unpredictable elephants kill. You've learned to speak to them, not in words, but in tones, gestures, and subtle sounds. You know which elephant likes to be scratched behind the ear, and which one will swing its trunk without warning. You can sense when they're calm, when they're tired, when something inside them snaps. But no matter how long you work with them, they never truly belong to you. They belong to themselves, to instincts older than the empire. Your empire calls them the towers of battle. Commanders love to boast about their might, their tusks plated in bronze, their backs carrying archers and spearmen, banners fluttering high above. To the generals, they are symbols of unstoppable power. To you, they are a daily risk. Each time you climb onto your elephant's neck, you're gambling your life against its mood. As the sun climbs, the air thickens with the scent of dust, sweat, and dung. The elephants sway in the heat, flapping their ears to cool themselves. You walk among them with a sharp hook, tapping their leg to make them move. They respond with slow obedience, unless they don't. Sometimes one just stops, plants its feet in the sand, and refuses to budge. You plead, shout, pull. Nothing works. Behind you, a commander screams that the army must march, and then the whip cracks, not on the elephant, but on you. The Persians learned the art of war elephants from the Indians, but they turned it into an empire-wide system. Each elephant has its own team of handlers, trainers, cleaners, and feeders. But you, the Mahout, are the one who rides into battle. You sit just behind the animal's head, armed with nothing but a goad, a metal hook, and a small dagger. The goad commands the elephant. The dagger is for mercy, or for killing it if it loses control. You hope you'll never need to use it. You know you probably will. Training these beasts is half science, half madness. Young elephants must be tamed early, or they grow wild. You chain them for weeks, teaching them to respond to human voices. You feed them by hand until they associate you with safety. But the bond is fragile. You've seen handlers crushed because an elephant startled at a sudden noise or the smell of blood. You've seen entire training camps destroyed when one animal panicked and the rest followed, stampeding through tents and fires. A frightened elephant can turn an army into chaos faster than any enemy. And yet, when they charge in formation, they are magnificent. You've seen it. The ground trembling as they advance. Dust clouds rising like storms. Enemy lines breaking before their roar. The sight alone is enough to make men flee. You can almost feel pride in that. Almost. Until the arrow starts flying. Battle is the true nightmare. You sit high above the battlefield, guiding your elephant towards the enemy. Arrows whistle past your ear. Spears pierce the air. The elephant bellows in rage, blood streaking its hide. It stomps, it tramples, it swings its tusks. You hang on for dear life, shouting commands drowned by the chaos. You can't control it anymore. You're no longer the master. You're just the rider of a living earthquake. When elephants panic, they run in any direction, sometimes back towards your own soldiers. That's when your dagger's purpose becomes clear. If your elephant turns against your army, your duty is to kill it. Fast. A single thrust into the soft spot behind its ear, easier said than done when it's thrashing beneath you. And if you fail, the elephant's rampage could destroy your own ranks. crush your comrades, and doom the battle. You've heard stories of Mahouts who didn't act quickly enough. Stories told in whispers because the empire doesn't like tales of its mighty beasts killing Persians instead of enemies. After battle, the cleanup is worse than the fight. The elephants are wounded, terrified, sometimes blind from fire or blood. You have to calm them, feed them, clean them. Some won't stop trembling. Others refuse to eat for days. You whisper to them in the night, trying to bring them back from their frenzy. You've lost count of how many have died from exhaustion or infection. For every glorious war elephant paraded in victory, there are a dozen dead in the dust, their bones left for vultures. And you keep working, because the empire needs you. It always needs more elephants, more handlers, more lives to feed the war machine. When one beast dies, another is brought from India. Another you must tame, train, and trust. The cycle never ends. Your own life isn't much easier. You live in tents on the edge of the camp, away from the soldiers. The stench of the elephants follows you everywhere. Your skin is stained with mud and sweat, your clothes stiff with salt. Other soldiers avoid you. They say Mahouts smell like the beasts they serve. You don't argue. You can't remember the last time you didn't. Your hands are calloused from rope burns. Your back arches from climbing onto elephants every day. Sometimes, when you finally rest, your dreams are filled with the sound of trumpeting. Loud, angry, unstoppable. You wake up trembling, unsure if it's real or in your head. You've seen empires rise and fall from atop those great backs. You served under Darius, then his son, then the generals who came after. Each believed elephants made them invincible. Each learned otherwise. In the Battle of Gaugamela, the Macedonians found ways to outmaneuver the beasts, drawing them into traps. You weren't there, but the story spread fast. Elephants screaming as they fell, their handlers crushed under their own mounts. The empire lost, but the elephants kept dying long after. Still, the Persians didn't abandon them. Centuries later, in the Sasanian age, the kings of kings revived the elephant's corpse. You've seen their banners embroidered with gold and ivory, the elephant clad in armor, their tusks sharpened to points. They still call them weapons of the gods, but to you, they're a burden no god would bear. You remember one campaign vividly. The scorching plains of Mesopotamia. The heat shimmered like fire. The elephants were restless, their skin cracking under the sun. You spent hours rubbing oil on them to keep the hide from splitting. One night, a sandstorm hit the camp. The elephants panicked. Chains snapped, tents tore, men screamed. You barely escaped being crushed as your own elephant broke free. It took 50 soldiers to calm it down. The next morning, the commander praised your bravery. You felt nothing but exhaustion. The empire rewards your service with coin, food, and promises of honor. But honor fades quickly. If your elephant dies, you're blamed. If it kills someone important, you're punished. The same dagger you carry for the elephants might one day be used on you. The army needs heroes when it wins, and scapegoats when it doesn't. At times, you envy the soldiers. They face men, not monsters. Their weapons obey their hands. Yours has a mind of its own. You must predict its moods, sense its fear, anticipate its pain. You must be both master and servant, protector and killer. You are its voice in war and its silence in death. Despite it all, there are moments of beauty. When dawn breaks and your elephant bathes in a river, splashing water with its trunk. You see a gentleness the general never will. When it reaches back to touch your arm with its trunk, you feel something like trust. You almost forget the battles, the fear, the blood. Almost. But then comes the march again. Another campaign, another battlefield. Another chance to die beneath the feet of the creature you trained. You tighten the rope around your waist, adjust the harness, and climb onto its back. The horns sound, the army moves, and the ground begins to shake once more. You ride into war, your heart pounding with the rhythm of the beast's steps. Ahead lies glory for the empire. Behind you, the smell of dust and sweat. Around you, chaos waiting to happen. You whisper to your elephant soft words, the same ones you've used 1,000 times. It rumbles back, low and deep. Maybe it understands, maybe it doesn't. Either way, you go together. So why does it suck to be a Persian war elephant handler? Because your life depends on a creature stronger, larger, and wilder than anything man can truly control. Because your victories are celebrated, but your mistakes are buried under tons of flesh and silence. Because every triumph you bring the empire is written in sweat, fear, and the footprints of beasts that will never know your name. You are the unseen backbone of Persia's might, the forgotten soul who whispers to giants and dies beneath their weight. Your story isn't carved in stone or sung in the halls of kings. It's written in the sand, washed away by time, and remembered only by those who know what it means to command a living mountain. And that is why it truly sucks to be a Persian war elephant handler.